How are you likely to position this finance business of yours? Because you, having acquired the One Housing, you have a significant presence in the housing finance market. But how would you like yourself to be positioned compared to, say, market leaders like HDFC or LIC Housing Finance?
So the way we look at ourselves is to have a business which has both retail as well as wholesale lending. We also have a business which is not only housing finance, but we would also go into unsecured lending, housing finance being mainly secured lending. And we would go into wholesale with both real estate wholesale and even other corporate wholesale. So that's how it is. It'll be slightly different from what HDFC and LIC housing is. And besides that, if I go into more detail, as far as our housing loans are concerned, they will be mainly in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. And whereas the HDFCs would have it in the larger cities. Second thing is that we would go for both salaried as well as non-salaried. Today, our composition of salaried and non-salaried people is about 50-50, which is in some ways higher than what the others would have.
Mm. There are two issues now, Ajay. One is that you don't have access to deposits yet in the way an HDFC may have because of the complications with the Diwan Housing license for deposits. And on the other hand, you are up against these nimble fintechs who are trying to play your game and you are trying to get into financial services in a big way with a very large of customer touch points that they have already got. Now, between these two, do you see yourself having any kind of a disadvantage or handicap in competing in the marketplace?
So I think you're right that as of now, we do not have a deposit-taking license. Actually, the deposit-taking license of DHFL was suspended for its own reasons, which are very well known before we acquired it. We are hoping that as time goes by, I think the RBI would look at us favorably towards a deposit-taking license. But quite apart from that, I think the cost of funding, which other large competitors have, will be lower than ours for a while to come. Therefore, what we need to see is to go into those areas which are not so easily, which are not of great interest to the larger ones. And that's why I talked about the tier 2, tier 3. That's why I talked about the whole space of salaried and non-salaried. Fintech on the other side, yes, they bring in a lot of technology, which we are also trying to do. But if you look at the fintechs, most of them are not of the significant size and don't have the balance sheet that we would have. And very often they have a lot of technology, but not enough experience in lending and not enough of a balance sheet to do. So I think we have to be very aware of what the big boys are doing and what fintechs are doing, and we have to find a path. But I can say on the other hand, that today there is a need to provide more housing. How many NBFCs are there in the housing space, for instance, or even in lending? There are very few. And over time, a consolidation is taking place. You can see there is a difference between the more successful or the larger ones, the NBFCs, compared to the smaller ones. So that's where we are playing.